Meanwhile, Atleti, of course, through after the victory against Feyenoord. Impressive once again with that 3-1 victory. They'll be joined by Lazio in the next round. And up for Atleti next, of course, it's the reason Robbo is in Barcelona. What a game it should be at Montjuic as Barca take on Atleti. Atleti third at the moment, Barca one place below them. However, very different form you feel going into this clash. Álvaro Morata has been excellent up front alongside Antoine Griezmann. Here's what the Spanish international had to say ahead of the game.
We are Atletico and we need to fight also always for all the titles, but this year smell and feels different because we are all together. Sometimes some seasons you can feel a small difference between the starters and the people that are in the bench, but this year we feel all together, all tight, and we work hard and we enjoy every game.
Robert, it really should be a fascinating clash, shouldn't it, on Sunday? So many different things to look at. Let's start with Atleti and this attacking force that they've got. Great relationship with Griezmann and Morata. We're used to Atleti grinding out 1-0 results. That's how they won the league, of course, a few years ago. They've changed slightly this season in that they're playing much more attractive football.
Yes, I think they are. Morata, as you said, is playing very well. He's holding up the play. He can make runs in behind. He's good in the air. Griezmann has got that sort of free role. Sometimes he'll play on the left-hand side and then come in field, but he'll also go and create 2v1s in areas which the opposition can't cope with. I don't think it suited them last week when Correa started up front with Morata and Griezmann played slightly to the left-hand side. I think Correa will come out the team and it will be Griezmann and Morata up front. But the midfield are playing well as well. Barrios, I thought, was excellent last week. He made a lot of good forward runs. Koke's back to his best in that holding midfield position, but getting on the ball and making things happen. We saw Llorente do brilliantly down the right-hand side as a right wing-back. So at the moment, Atleti are a very good side and they're playing some good football. The link-up between the front players, they look dangerous, they look threatening. They can change their style of play according to the game. We saw them in the previous game against Valencia get loads and loads of crosses into the box. The last one, they went through the middle. They're a good team and they're going to take a lot of beating at the weekend.
Yeah, Robert, it wouldn't be a huge surprise, would it, if they took 3 points back to the Spanish capital, given what we've seen from Barcelona over the last few weeks. Can you pinpoint in particular what's gone wrong with Xavi's side?
I think they've lost that ability to dominate games at a high tempo. You looked at the best Barcelona teams, and when Xavi was in control last year and they were doing well in the early part of the season, they could cut teams apart with their movement, their combination play. They did it at pace. They got goals early on in games, so that they could actually control it completely. That's not been the case. They've been slower in their build-up play. They've not had that fluidity in the wide areas at times. They haven't got the ball into the front players quite so much. Lewandowski hasn't had so much service, but he hasn't also been so good with his back to goal. They've missed one or two key players. Some of the younger players haven't been at their very best. They're going to miss Gavi, obviously, for the rest of the season. So there's lots of things that aren't quite right at Barcelona at the moment. They're still getting decent results, but they aren't the team that you can fear at the moment. They're not going to totally outplay you and cut you apart time and time again as they've done it in previous years. So I think Atleti will defend well, but they'll also be a massive threat on the counter-attack.
What's been striking, Stevie, is these slow starts to the games that they've been having. It's been happening too much. How do you explain that?
Personally, I'd believe that's down to the players.
Right.
And
like, is that complacency? Is it nerves? Is it lack of confidence?
I think it's lack of confidence. When you're confident, you step on the field, and you are Barcelona at your best. You step on the field, and you know the opposition is scared. They're worried about you, and so you can't wait to get after them. You don't get that feeling. You get the feeling that Barcelona, as much as they've got the names on the back of the jersey,
yeah,
you don't feel as though they're convinced that they're as good as they're supposed to be. And so that translates on the field. And then as soon as the opposition smell that, hold on, this team's not quite as good as they're supposed to be, then all of a sudden the attitude, probably more of the opposition, the attitude changes. So now they think they've got a chance. And so it changes the dynamic of the whole game, as opposed to what we're used to. People scared, people sitting back, letting Barcelona get after them. That's not happening because they're not scared.
And of course, add to that, Shaka, they're not at home. Obviously, the Camp Nou is being redone. You're at the Montjuic, different thing, different scenario. Not quite as intimidating an atmosphere as visiting teams are used to, which also has to play a part.
Absolutely, and it does. And a lot of times you think, well, it's a football field, the dimensions are pretty similar. But just little things like when you're used to playing at the Camp Nou or wherever it may be, there are visual cues that you're used to, so you know exactly where you are in the park. So there's a lot, I think, psychologically, that Barcelona are struggling with. And to Stevie's point, it's not just a lack of confidence in yourself, it's a lack of confidence in each other. We step on the field, you're not quite sure what I'm going to do, what kind of day I'm going to have. I'm not quite sure what the other guy is going to do either. And that just feeds in, and you build yourself into the game, but then sometimes that kind of uncertainty gives the opposition a head start, and you find yourself just, again, just chasing or running uphill, trying to catch the opponent. And as a result, and given that lack of self-confidence, it's difficult. It's a difficult sell after that.
However, Barcelona are through to the knockout stages, aren't they, after that 2-1 victory against Porto. It sees them advance to the next round, of course, something they were unable to do last season. It will go down to the final game between Porto and Shakhtar as to who will be joining them.